Welcome to Sports Geek Amplify, where we profile sports technology solutions to drive results for your sports business. In this Sports Geek Amplify episode, we chat with the founder of StellarAlgo, a customer data platform that enables you to drive more ticketing and sponsorship revenue from your fans. Here's your host, founder of Sports Geek, Sean Callanan.
Hello and welcome to another episode of Sports Geek Amplify. My name is Sean Callanan and I'm your host, and I'm here joined by the founder of StellarAlgo, Vincent Candia. Welcome, Vincent. Welcome back, welcome specifically to this series.
Thank you, Sean. Yeah, glad to be back on with you. Thanks for having me.
Yes, for those of you who don't know, you can check the Sports Geek Podcast archives. I've spoken to Vincent before. But in this episode, we're really going to dive into the StellarAlgo story and know more a bit about it and how it's being used. So, what I've been asking people firstly is in Twitter form, and I'm old school, so I only give you 140 characters. But if you want to extend it to 280 characters, I'm cool. Explain StellarAlgo in 140 characters.
Yeah, okay, 140. So StellarAlgo, we have a customer data platform that is the easiest way to build and monetize the world's most passionate digital audiences.
Very good. Like in the rich, Jack Dorsey would be proud. Under 140 characters, absolutely nailed it. Now we did chat earlier on the previous podcast about sort of the origin story, and had a recent shout out when I caught up with Dwayne Hankins, a mutual friend of ours of the Portland Trailblazers. But for the people who have not listened to that, haven't done their homework, and we're not shaming people for not going back into the archive. What is the StellarAlgo origin story?
Really it goes back to the beginning of my career. I'm a sports analytics and technology, I would say, veteran. So back in sort of the 10, 12 years ago now, sort of at the early stages of the sports analytics movement, when dynamic pricing, was sort of coming into mode, and in the days when, understanding your season ticket holders with data, those are some of the things that were really important at that time. I worked for Anschutz Entertainment Group, who's the largest facilities owner operator for arenas in the world, and was director of business intelligence there, in charge of helping understand our fans and make sure we had the right fan facing technology in place. So I did that for our North American and European sports properties, and then I was an executive with the Portland Trailblazers in Rose Quarter, which is where I actually met Dwayne. And I was actually also on the NBA's analytics steering committee. And essentially what I was finding was it was just really hard with the tools that existed to really understand and monetize our fans. And, in our ticketing system, there was data existed. But when you think of the broader ecosystem within which the fan really exists and is at the center of, we really didn't have the tools to be able to understand and then activate them, I think, with just what was happening in the broader universe. And frankly, it's only been accelerated now by the pandemic. But, I had this key inflection moment where I was getting a lot of calls from different properties in North America, Europe, et cetera, asking how we were using our fan data to really improve our experiences and monetize fans. And I frankly didn't think the tools that existed in the industry were going to be able to prepare us for the future. So I went in and found some really world-class, data technology people, and we started building a platform that could answer these questions. And that's really the origin story.
Yeah, and so it is from that point of, data in different places and a lot of manual manipulation, or taking data from one place to another place, or bringing it down, manipulating Excel spreadsheets and then handing it over to ticketing stuff. So it's a lot of that manual process, almost in paper form, because you're like taking it from one place to another place and loading it somewhere else and trying to solve that problem.
Yeah, exactly right. And that's, to the point of the last year where, even the most seasoned sports executives, might have been able to rely on, I know my fan base because I've been doing this a long time. that world has really, really changed. And understanding your fans at a glance, being able to personalize and get them messaging that they actually want to hear in this world now where they're inundated with more sales and marketing messaging than they've ever had. It's just become more important to be able to automate some of those capabilities and improve the ability to understand and really activate the fan, for the right reasons. And so that's really where we've invested a lot of our time, money, and energy is in putting those insights at your fingertips and then making it easy to activate and understand like how well those activities are working.
So I mean, you'd be the same as me. You'd get that chill down the back of your spine when someone says, "Oh, we're just going to send out an email blast." Right, that send it out to everyone, whereas you're very much, hey, let's send it out to the right people. So from a like how StellarAlgo gets used from a use case point of view, what are some of the different ways that your clients are, I guess, using the product to get away from that? Oh, we've got 100,000 records in our database. Cool, let's send out an email to 100,000 people. Like that's very much the old way. What are some of the ways that your clients are using it?
Yeah, no, absolutely. And I would say that the use cases continue to broaden. You talk about like that real single view of the fan, that's engaging with us over all these different channels and touch points now. Really anchoring, any of the decisions we're making with, the fan at the center, like that's our platform is enabling that sort of capability. The use cases off of that, although ticketing was, definitely an early focus of ours, we're seeing, new use cases in multiple areas that we're supporting in an accelerating fashion. All about better monetizing and building lifelong relationships with fans. So I think about the Sacramento Kings. We have this lead universe view, which allows you to see what your fans are doing across all the different channels with which they're interacting with you. So even at an executive level, to be able to go in and see a snapshot view on who is my audience? Where are they coming from? Which segments do I see engagement rising or avidity rising or decreasing? Sacramento Kings are able to use something like that to go and identify new groups of fans. So, they're trying to identify and monetize a younger millennial fan group. With our platform, they're able to go grab that audience on behalf of their corporate partners and give insights now that weren't before possible. Or it used to be just like, research data. Yep. This is real data on real fans and what they're doing. And that's resulting in, real revenue impact for them. The Vancouver Canucks, come to mind where, through the pandemic, e-commerce and merch is one of those things you could actually sell through the pandemic. They in Vancouver, Canada, they have it's a very diverse population there. And they've been able to go and, look at different ethnic groups, target growth in some of the new digital channels. And we've been able to de-anonymize some fans that were previously unknown and grow their known marketable universe by 40%. Yep. So, being able to really like grow somebody's known marketable universe by 40% and then monetize it through things like e-commerce, sponsorship, and then, ultimately like also ticketing as fans go back into stands. That's a second big example that, that comes to mind. And I have it here. I got one third one for you here, Sean.
Before you jump into that one, I think those two cases, like I use the term, and I think I use the term audiences of opportunity. And I think that stuff where you're talking about the Sacramento Kings, like being able to find, hey, there's an audience that we're not engaging with. And the easy one is, we'll sell tickets to them. But also the other one is like the Vancouver one. There's different, different demographic groups that potentially become really strong from your partnership point of view, whether it's you've got a partner that wants to reach millennials or a particular ethnic group. Like having that data enables you to have that conversation from a partnerships point of view. So there's a lot of people that look at their data and their data position and their fan data and go, oh, cool, it's a ticketing opportunity. But that piece of the segmentation of, this is a sponsorship opportunity to a particular segment of that database or that fan audience is absolutely critical. And that's what you're talking about with what the Kings and the Canucks are doing in two different use cases, whether it's ticketing or sponsorship or, e-commerce.
Yeah, absolutely. I think it's a bit of a mindset shift that, we've been trying to, bring in, champion, and are seeing, resonate in an accelerating fashion. It's, the industry has been, we think of ourselves as this events business.
Yep.
And so we're so event focused. We have an event coming up. We need to, sell that event. We need to sell sponsorships for that event, et cetera. And, what we're trying to really, coach, and where we see like the big value, right now and going forward is, no, the fan is real. The fans that you have and the passion of those fans is really an asset, regardless of the events. And now, how do we really help you to build the lifetime value, of that fan and monetize that fan across this entire ecosystem and all the, and all of the third-party partners, all of the, near field revenue opportunities that also exist against that. So that's really where our platform sort of can come in and create more of a 365 day, multi-property business.
Oh, and that's exactly where, like from a digital, working with the digital folk, they're trying to build this content story that's 12 months a year. And you're right, because the data focus is so event. If you're NFL, it's 12, 16 games. Or if you're NBA, it's 41 games. Or if you're AFL, it's 11 home games and 20. And we're so game focused and stadium filling focused. But there's so many opportunities, on those non-game days. So I think, as teams start having that 365, 12 months a year point of view, it's really important. But not to, you were going to give me that third example, so I'm going to go back to it because, we are all about the cheeks and the seats and selling those tickets. You got a great case study with the Arizona Coyotes.
Yeah, no, this is a recent one, and Cole Cook there, their VP of strategy and business intelligence, is doing a great job. They're in the desert, and they're one of the markets now that can actually have fans in seats. We're seeing it happen more and more now, and so are building a lot of knowledge and best practices. But they're an example that they are trying to take more of their performance or paid digital marketing in-house. They really want to understand and be the stewards of their fan base themselves, and the team there has done a really nice job now of leveraging some of our new integration capabilities, and we pride ourselves on providing the opportunity to really orchestrate those relationships cross-channel. Using our Facebook ads has been a really good place to sell tickets for our industry over the course of the past years, and they're leveraging our ad integration there to be able to dynamically push audiences up into their Facebook ad campaigns, and they've seen a 16 times ROI on the back of that. That's because they're connecting the first party data now into those social channels. It's saved them time, frankly, and it is generating ROI by going after the right types of fans from a ticket sales package perspective. So just a really, really exciting win for them and us using some of these new capabilities.
And that's only going to become more and more important. We're now currently going through the cookie apocalypse, right? The Facebook cookies, the Apple cookies, the remarketing tools that we've had previously have been taken away. So it really puts owning your own data and first-party data be super critical to be able to optimize those ads. So being able to link straight into the Facebook lists and audiences is going to be critical going forward. Like the tools, the tricks, and the levers you got to pull over the last 2 or 3 years, potentially not going to be there in the next 6 to 12 months as privacy and more people have got ad blockers, and Safari is practically locked down. The iPhone is getting locked down as we speak. It's going to become more and more important if you want to do transactional pieces like ticketing and merch.
Yeah, Yeah, no, great point and thread to pull on. Like that's a big trend that we're watching. And I mentioned the Canucks and that Canucks case study, the 40% growth in marketable universe. That's from connecting to new digital data sources, but then doing better identity resolution through their existing sources. The Facebooks and Instagrams of the world are going to continue to be very important, but I think as an industry, we can't just continue to rent our audiences from those platforms. We've got to own our audiences, and so a big part of what our platform is trying to do is really help our properties to own and take back those first party audiences and make it easy, frankly, to understand and monetize them on a one-to-one basis.
Yep. So from a sports property point of view, who are the people that are using and finding most benefit out of StellarAlgo, both from an organization point of view, but then from an in-house inside the org point of view?
Yeah. So, we're working with over 80 properties today. So, most of those are rights holders, although we're seeing more direct interest from brands. We're seeing more direct interest from some other players in the ecosystem, but over 80 properties in this industry now using our platform. We're in all of the major North American sports leagues. And then, we also support minor leagues. We have, about 20% of our business that is with minor league teams, large events like tennis tournaments, like U.S. Open, for example. So we see a broad variety of different properties in the ecosystem that are trying to better understand that fan or customer. So, those are who we look for. I think just as a threshold, I think if you've got over 100,000 sort of unique known fans, that's probably an important threshold for us. We, just in terms of the scope and scale of what we try to do, I think that's sort of a meaningful threshold. Don't want to pretend we're for every single property, but that would be an important qualifier. And then the interesting thing is we are the best use cases we have are organizations that are trying to be more digital first and more data driven across their organization. And so we have users, I would say, marketing and digital folks are a big focus where, maybe they're used to managing their social accounts and, running email, et cetera, but they're looking for a more holistic access to that single view of a fan. And so we can connect the marketers and digital marketers with that audience. We have analytics teams, frankly, that we can, in some cases where, we see all levels of sophistication here. So, the analytics property teams, making them get access to insights much faster and less expensive than what they would have on their own. I think that's a piece. And then we talked a little bit about sponsorship, but that's a real growing area for us where we are seeing corporate partners themselves come back to properties and say, hey, the deal we bought originally has really shifted in this pandemic world. We need to renegotiate, or we need our money back, or we want more insights on who we're reaching and how we're targeting through your digital channels. And so our platform is increasingly, helping those sponsorship sales and activation people to get the answers they need, as well as I think breathe some life into sponsorship agreements where they can go and say, hey, look, we're doubling down our investment. Just because we don't have fans in seats today, the world hasn't stopped. We're doubling down our ability to understand and activate our fans in an omni-channel way. So so we see users across kind of those key departments, I would say are kind of the big ones.
One of the things I think, I think I've probably mentioned data journey, CRM journey multiple times on the podcast over the past 8 years. Are there people that go, we're not quite, there's so many people, we're not quite ready. We've just got to get our house in order. We haven't quite figured out our strategy, or we're not quite implemented. Knowing that everyone is on that journey, how do you help those teams that say, we're not ready, or, Vince, our data is a mess? Is that where you come in, or do you need them to be a certain manner, or is it more of a mindset thing, like you said, hey, we want to have a data and a digital focus for our business, and that's where you can help?
Yeah, I love that question. The quick answer is we really pride ourselves on working with organizations of all different sophistication levels.
Yep.
And we've been able to have, regardless of where they're at in that journey, if we can move them along quicker, we start to show and see value,
Yep.
and we take a real partnership style with what we do. So, we have, our customer success team is really focused on getting the practices in place, so that they can get value, regardless of where they're at in that journey. What I will say is important is, and you need an organization that does believe, or at least personnel within the organization, depending on how broadly we work with the organization, that do believe in using more data, in activating fans more through some of these digital channels. I do think that goes without saying. If the organization is in a position where they're like, all this data and, all this stuff on the digital side are interesting, but, we still don't really know if that's important for us. I would say, probably then, we'd love to expose them to what we do, and maybe we circle back around later, but they have to believe, they have to believe in like this fan-centric approach, and they have to believe that, information, and better information, can help them to really grow revenues. I think that they've got to be willing to try that.
Yeah, and I think it is like, it is a maturation of the market overall. Like, the data analytics and the diving into that is, it's getting into double-digit territory. Like, it's getting into 10 years, and there's execs that were diving into the analytics 8, 9, 10 years ago that are reaching C-level, that are starting to realize, I like to call it like the money ball, of sport, but not off the pitch.
Yeah.
We're not talking Billy Bean stuff, but like the money ball side of the data side, which is where you guys play. Being able to optimize, sell more tickets, get more people in, and the sponsor piece, I think, is completely that growing piece. Like, yes, they want the patch on the jersey, and they want the signage in the stadium, and they want the tracking of that. But now they're starting to realize, how many fans can we reach out to? How many touch points can we have with fans? What does that look like? So much more sponsorship is moving into that performance marketing. How many customers can you acquire for us? So you can only do that with really good understanding of your own data.
Absolutely. Yeah, no, absolutely. And I think, that's where there's so much opportunity for the industry. I was speaking with an NBA executive last week that basically said, like, we're losing deals now in new sponsor categories because they care about, cost per action or cost per click on our audiences. And we don't know how to speak that language, and we don't have the tools, to be able to help them realize their goals. And I think that that's a big miss for the industry. Like the awareness play of sponsorship is going to be there. It's so important, but we also need to have these other tools in our toolkit.
Definitely. So now what we're going to do is look at the triple threat.
Now it's time for the Sports Geek Amplify Triple Threat,
which is where we look at how StellarAlgo can help you save time, make money, and save resources. So first of all, I'll kick off with saving time. How is StellarAlgo a time saver?
Yeah, so I think the first part of that is really streamlining, building that single view of the fan.
Yep.
So right now, regardless of if you're a smaller minor league property or major league property, in order to get to that, like who are the right fans to go and reach out to for this purpose?
Yep.
There is a lot of manual effort that goes into answering these questions on like who are our fans and what do we do with them. So we really accelerate the ability to get those answers quickly. And you don't need an analyst or some like expensive technical resource to go and spend a day doing some big analysis. Like we do put those at your fingertips.
Yep.
So that's quick answer. The one other piece I'll say on this is we do leverage machine learning, and not in a way that's hey, we make this data more complex and sophisticated. Now this is beyond me, but we use those more sophisticated capabilities actually to make it easier. So we use it so that we can say, who are my most avid fans in my database today? Or who are my most engaged fans? Or which ones used to be engaged and momentum is dropping? Putting those, using the predictive technology to put those answers at your fingertips, and then activate off them. Not just say, oh, that's nice to know those are those fans, but then now what do? We make it easy to say, those are the fans. Now let's go push them off to go actually action them. So I'd say that's where like the big time savings is on like overcoming some of the manual efforts that would go into getting these answers or pulling these customer lists for any given purpose.
Yeah, I mean, I'm a big fan of automation. The fact that you've got so much automation in your platform in one, just getting that data together. But then what you're saying there is getting the insights, like being able someone in marketing to say, who should we be selling tickets to? Give me a great list, or sponsorship saying, hey, how do we know people in this segment? Like there'll be people listening going, oh yeah, I know. Oh, that's normal. That's been a half-day exercise for me to collate that data for the sponsor. When if it's like a couple of taps and hit the button and spit out a report, they can be one chasing down those people, but also like tracking down the new ones. From a money point of view, it's twofold. Do you save money or make money? Which is, if you do both, that's even better.
Yeah, well, I'm biased, but I some of the use cases for us are do come out that we are doing both. I think, the saves money one, when properties, as they come back from the pandemic, one thing that we're seeing in like a lot of the new customers we're adding right now, what we're seeing is they might not be hiring back the sales teams or service teams at the level on the ticket sales side that they used to. So a lot of the pre-qualification that our platform can do of that customer. So who's the right customer to reach out to sell a ticket to, or that might be at risk of not coming back after now, we've been off having live events for a year. That pre-qualification work can allow us to, operate with smaller sales teams. On the marketing side as well, like by putting these insights at your fingertips, we think like the marketing teams become more effective and efficient. So one of the big reasons the Coyotes campaign was so successful is because we actually automatically pull customers out of campaigns if they have converted or if they've been oversaturated with messaging. So as a result, your costs on the advertising side, you just get much more efficient. You're not wasting money on people that are poor. So I would say those are a couple examples of like, how we would be helping save money.
And then from a make money point of view, it is things like higher returns on your ticketing pieces, but then also, that sponsorship identification piece to be able to really have a real data focus of your sponsor pitches. And it's great to be able to increase win backs of single game buyers, reducing churn for season ticket, which is a industry wide problem. Being able to do that is a lift in the bottom line.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, no, we're really, we really target an ROI of 10x. That's sort of our target when it comes to like making money side, and a lot of that is driven in the areas that you talk about. Right now I'm kind of thinking of it in two ways. One is helping the industry prepare for this inevitable return to having fans en masse and being ready to capitalize on that moment. And then the second part is, even as we get back to some level of fans in person en masse, my hope is that the industry will have learned some lessons and is now working to not be so reliant on physical revenue streams. And we're thinking more of this, 365 day a year, digital data-driven opportunity that exists for our industry. And that's where we're also, finding new customers coming to us looking for leadership in that secondary as well.
Yeah, I think there's a real opportunity there. The classic one of 1% of your fans turn up to the stadium, but we've been so focused on those fans inside the stadium. And it's like it's taken a year of a pandemic for us to focus on fans not in the stadium because they haven't been allowed to be in the stadium. But what products and how can we engage with them and how can we, serve them, and therefore, drive revenue from them. I think that's a real big opportunity for the world of sport overall. And it's really, you got to understand your fans. The last one, which you touched on a little bit from a resources point of view, does it, does it save resources, but also like what kind of resources are required to execute StellarAlgo?
Yeah. So I think like in general, I think, we try to really layer into existing technology stacks, regardless of how robust those are. We've got now over, and is growing all the time, but we've got over 70 unique system integrations that, we've really productized and that we can switch on relatively easily. So, connecting those data points, I think, is important. And in that case, it's as simple as reaching out to kind of your kind of existing technology provider, say, hey, we're working with StellarAlgo, start shipping them our data, and we automate that data to come over our way. So, I think that's a big part that we kind of layer into. And then, our customer success team is an extension of our platform, and they work hand in hand to really build and coach those best practices. So, from our side, like our resources, like, we are very hands-on partner in making sure we get really good outcomes. All lists that are being generated for anything throughout the organization are originating in our platform. Like that's really our goal. And then I think from the resourcing from the customer side, we do work with organizations of all different sizes. As I mentioned, we have minor league teams that have 9 or 10 employees, and we have massive organizations, like where we're working with leagues or other large major league properties where they have large staffs. So it does really depend. What I would say is it definitely need to have the passion on that side and belief that they want to use data and digital to create value with their fans. And then like for us, like I think having a champion, definitely on kind of the marketing, definitely in kind of like those key business areas. So ticketing, corporate partnership, and marketing, I would say, that are interested in using data. I think having those champions really sets us up for optimal success.
Yeah, and it is, and that point of it is being accessed by multiple departments. It's not, the whole data being a silo and the data geeks and the analytics guys just holding and maintaining it is really something to sort of open it up, and having that data focus overall is really important from a resource point of view. But it is used by all the staff. You don't need someone specifically technical to be driving things. We can't do a podcast in 2021 without talking about COVID and having a bit of a check-in. Obviously for the last 12 months, things have moved. No events. How has your conversation with clients changed over the last 12 months and what their focus has been? And also, what does it look like going forward? Did it accelerate their, data journey? Did they put more focus onto it? How did they shift their needs over the past 12 months?
I think it's been, obviously such an interesting time, and, I've probably, being honest, like lost 4 or 5 years on my life in 2020 as a founder of a company. Like,
we call that you accelerated your founder journey. It's like dog years.
I like that. It's been, 2020 was, obviously like, for all of us, but as a founder, particularly, I would say challenging, and stressful at times, but and we in some cases, like in many cases, we're at the center of this industry, so our partners were financially impacted, and we did our best to support them kind of through this this kind of tough past 12 months, but overall it's actually has created for our business a tailwind, just being honest. So although some stress along the way, with some of the new use cases we're seeing with like this really growing interest in doing more with less resources, on better monetizing fans and understanding them through these, kind of in this digital first world. We do have, we're seeing, a growing urgency to be able to have some of these capabilities at the core of the organizations that we're targeting. So I think, in general, we're really excited. I think for the industry, I think that this is forcing some really exciting good behaviors in general. And I think, like, as an industry through this, it's been a tough year, but I think we're going to be, with some of the right decisions, we'll be ready to meet the needs of like the fans of tomorrow. This hopefully will be a bit of a wake up call where like we've got to have some of the ability in place to be able to win fans and keep them engaged and monetize them in this new world.
Yeah, I mean, I joke about the pandemic years like dog years, but I do think it has, and I've joked that COVID's going to win the Digital Transformation Officer of 2020 because so many industries like sport have pushed harder into data and digital, and we're probably further advanced, even with the financial hits, of where we were if we'd just run 2020 like a normal year. Like, we would have made small incremental changes, but now everyone's like, digital and data, really, really important. What should we be doing? And like you said, we're now building something for that new fan. And so for me, I'm a glass half full kind of guy. I'm trying to make the best out of a pandemic. I do think, we're in a better place there going into the next 12 to 18 months.
No, it's going to be, I think it's going to be 2021, I think has an opportunity to be very exciting for the industry. And we are seeing those organizations shift just generally, more emphasis on the fan, as opposed to those events, which, like even a high level goal for an organization, this, like, what is our total known fan universe? What's the size? And do we track that on a weekly basis? And where are we winning new fans from? Where are we losing engagement? Having those things like right front and center are leading to better outcomes for organizations and are going to lead to I think bigger revenue opportunity potentially than we've ever seen. But we've just got to be smart as an industry about getting those practices in place.
Definitely. All right. So this is where I take everything we've taken from this meeting and I do my Sports Geek pitch recap and tell you what StellarAlgo is, and hopefully I get it right. So the format is, how what we do is in fact. And so what I've got is, how data is a journey, but it's still hard work. What StellarAlgo does is the heavy lifting. So you can quickly collate, understand and action your audience data for ticketing, marketing and sponsors. In fact, they have helped over 85 properties track 40 billion interactions across 100 million unique fan records. That's it. That's what StellarAlgo is. Did I nail it?
You nailed it. That was good. I'm glad. That was excellent. Thank you, Sean.
You can use that for your elevator pitch if you ever get stopped and someone says, "What is Stellar?" What I want to do is I direct Sports Geek Amplify listeners to StellarAlgo to find out more how it can be implemented for them. We'll have a landing page on StellarAlgo.com/sportsgeek. There'll also be one at SportsGeekAmplify.com/StellarAlgo. What can we offer the Sports Geek Amplify listeners, Vince?
Yeah, I think the big thing from our standpoint is like what we're offering is that we would waive any of our typical implementation fees. For anybody that's listening in and believes in these capabilities, we really think we obviously are passionate about our business, and we think we can be an important part of helping organizations prepare for this future. So we want to reduce those barriers to entry as much as possible. So offer from us is we would waive the typical implementation fees that we might charge in order to make us more accessible for more folks.
Terrific. And the good thing is, if you are a StellarAlgo client, you sign up. There's discounted sessions, Pick My Brain, where I can help you get more data and get better fan data into your system. So, check that out, StellarAlgo.com/sportsgeek or SportsGeek Amplify /StellarAlgo. There'll all be the links there. You'll be able to connect with Vincent. I look forward to the day where we can catch up again. At a conference, one of those things, traveling, going to different parts of the world, maybe even going to a sports event. I look forward to that. Vincent, thank you very much for coming on the podcast. Where is the best place for people to connect with you and reach out and say hello, other than the links that I've just given?
Yeah, I'm on Twitter, I'm on LinkedIn, so you can reach me there. And then, my email address is virkandia@stellaralgo.com. So people can also feel free just to reach out directly by email.
Terrific. And make sure if you are sending him a tweet or a message, tell him to listen to the podcast. We want to know that this works. Please send and share this with your analytics people, share it with your sponsorship people, share it with your marketing people. I really do appreciate it. Vincent, thank you very much for coming on the Sports Geek Amplify series. Like I said, looking forward to catching up soon.
Yeah, thanks so much, Sean. No, this was great. Thanks for your time.
Please check out all episodes of the Sports Geek Amplify series at sportsgeekamplify.com. To connect with Vincent at StellarAlgo, go to sportsgeekamplify.com/StellarAlgo. Join the Sports Geek Amplify cohort on a special #SportsBiz Zoom reunion show on June 8th and 9th. sportsgeekhq.com/Zoom calls. All episodes are available in the Sports Geek podcast feed. You can listen to Sports Geek on Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Spotify, and all good podcasting platforms. This has been a Sports Geek production.